So, Matt, you can begin.
Welcome back to the Monster Trio podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Twan.
And I'm Dominique. And this week, you all, we are going to be talking about the Demon Slayer movie Mugen Train. We all went to go watch it yesterday. Um, English sub, obviously. Got to watch it in Japanese with English subtitles. We took my fiance with us, so that was great to do. And in the movie, sorry, not in the movie, but like it was. My fiance loves Demon Slayer, so like we rewatched the whole thing up until Friday night. So that Saturday morning, we were good to go for the movie. Um, and obviously, with us guys, we are pretty good Demon Slayer fans. I don't think it's any of our like top anime, but obviously with this movie, we've been waiting for like a year and a half.
I
How long has
think
it been out?
since Demon Slayer ended with Enmu on the train in the last scene of the anime. I mean, just then getting revealed that the next season will be in a movie format. Whenever that was released, I don't remember the date. I didn't look the date up for that.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it has been a year because I think COVID was still going on when it finished up.
Mhm.
But
Cool.
yeah, definitely something we've been excited for a while and have been wanting to see because we all read the manga, so we know how it happens. But it's just
Cool to
great,
see,
great to
cool,
see it animated.
good to see the animated form. It was definitely very much worth it. It's,
Yeah, it's oh man, and just like we all read the manga, so we know what continues to happen. But we were all really excited to see this turn animated because with some of the movies we watch, Dragon Ball Z is a large example. A lot of them aren't exactly canon or don't like really go into everything that's canon, and it's like side story type of thing. But this is literally a continuation of the manga and of the story. And so it was like a different type of movie. And yeah, let's get into it, boys.
yeah,
Okay,
I was gonna say that straight off the bat, Internet SK is just hilarious. It's like who's that Lord Beast of
literally just getting on the train was hilarious because he immediately goes through someone's section. He's like, "Oh, it's so fast! I bet I can run faster. Let me get outside so I can. Let's see who's faster."
near this train.
Gosh, I think
And Zenitsu
Yeah,
just
I don't
like,
think he ever calls it a
Inosuke
train
is
either. It's
broken.
always a beast, the
yeah,
Iron Beast.
it's Lord of the Land.
Yeah.
Lord of Land.
And then like Inosuke or Zenitsu trying to hold him back and be like, "No, idiot, you can't you can't jump off. You can't chase this thing. Like no." And he's like, "No, this is the Lord. I'm stronger
It's
than the Lord. I'm
it's all
faster than
right. He owns his land and I own the land, so we must battle.
the Lord." Just like saying
uh,
cool over and over again. Suge.
Just funny. They're just looking for Rengoku, and they're like, "How will we know what he looks like?" He's like, "Oh, I remember his
it
like
has some like
quick,
crazy hair.
yeah,
No,
crazy hair, the
Tanjiro said
vibrant
it's sick.
colors,
He remembers
the
how he
vi-
smelled.
Oh,
yeah, the smell, the just even like everybody else on the train was very bland looking. Like, oh, they are not important characters that we need to worry about. But when we meet Rengoku, he's just what was he saying?
Delicious.
Delicious.
my,
Yeah. Oh my!
my. After every bite, my.
And
They
even
heard him
that
from like
first scene
two
when we
trains
meet
back.
him, it was almost he got more character, like understood his character a lot better than reading in the manga. Because manga was kind of hard to grasp his character until the very end. At least for me, when I was reading it, it was just like, oh, cool, like he's just a badass person who does flame breathing, and flame breathing is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely had like a deeper connection to Rengoku this time around because I was like, I remember like reading the manga and I was like, wow, we barely met him. We barely found out anything about him. His backstory was pretty short, so like it seemed weird that there was such a connection to him that Tanjiro and Inosuke and all of them, or even like all the other Hiroshima,
Hashiras.
Hashiras.
So, yeah, you trouble with that yesterday too.
Yeah, but that makes sense that they had such a deep connection because they all work together. But for Tanjiro and Inosuke and all of them, it just seemed kind of forced. But this time around, yeah, we definitely like got to meet him, learn about him, understand him, how he thinks, his personality. So I was definitely a lot more happy with him and a lot more impressed with his abilities this time around too. Because
Yeah, I don't think in the manga they really did many breath forms, which I kind of makes sense because I think the breath forms are more something that was designed to be animated anyway. Like you can't really show many breath techniques in a manga, but they introduced like what 5 or 6 different techniques throughout the movie for him with his flame breathing, which was really cool.
And they're very OP attacks too. That's
yeah, the fact that he even has like a shielding attack is crazy.
Yeah,
I think
he
that was
was.
the fourth one.
Oh man, but that's not too late.
yeah.
But yeah, like Matt was saying, like in Tawan, we as they were looking for Rengoku, because that was the whole thing that got us here was that um, it was stated that passengers were missing on the Mugen train. People kept disappearing. They would send demon slayers there, and they would lose communication with the demon slayers. So they knew something was going on. Rengoku was sent out there at the end of the first season of the anime. Rengoku was sent on this mission, and after Tanjiro and them healed, they were told to go follow and meet up with Rengoku to also be on this mission, just because they keep losing communication with people. And so yeah, when they found Rengoku and he was just kept saying delicious, umai, umai, and like everyone was losing their mind. Um, it was just pretty great that like he had Tanjiro sit right next to him and just with like the straightest face and the looking straight forward with all the passion in his words. Like with that had Tanjiro just like feeling like a little kid, like shrunk down beside him, like who is this big ball of energy that I just can't compare with? And he was like, and also he wanted to ask about the fire breathing that his dad knew. And
Well, it was sun breathing, but he saw
yeah,
flames associated with it. But yes, and I mean, he was just so honest with it because he was like, I don't know,
I
but
don't
it sounds really cool.
And but then he gave like backstory, like like the 5 elements that all of breathing come from, and then their branches off from that for different elements. He's
No,
made like the poison girl and the butterfly girl, which I should remember their names, but I currently do not. But I mean, that's a branch off the wind element, right? Wind or grass.
I think so. And then the serpent and mist come from water, which I thought was really cool. Which serpents flow, squiggle, so it makes sense. But also learning that his dad was another Hashira.
yes, yeah. We get a backstory on Rengoku's family, and his dad was a Hashira, but didn't
Like, are you proud of me, Dad?
care. um,
No,
but eventually, essentially, what continues to happen is, we get them talking and Rengoku pretty much telling Tanjiro like, I honestly can't tell you anything. I don't know anything about the breathing you're talking about. I do flame breathing. That's what we have, and it's different than what Tanjiro is asking about. And then once that discussion was over, the conductor was coming through to punch tickets, which I
He
was
gives us
actually
off a creepy vibe, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, the ticket puncher
totally fine
guy."
with it. But I was talking to, I think I told Tawana at the end of the movie, I was just like, how do they even have tickets when the three of them illegally jumped on the train?
Yeah. No, because I think at the end of the first season they got the tickets, but they were stopped from getting on the train because of their swords. So they had to sneak onto the train that way.
because they were talking about like how they had to put their swords behind their backs, and
yeah, because they're not.
So So they did have tickets, but the security guard, because they're still in society. The demon slayers aren't actually, people don't know about them.
Yeah, they're not recognized as entity essentially.
And I love that, like, when they were getting there, I can't remember what Zenitsu was crying about, but even like during his like whole crying like monologue, he was able to give his ticket. He was like, "Oh, here you go," and then went right back to crying.
He was crying because he thought that like their destination, or they were getting on the train to go to the destination of where the demons were. And then they were like, "No, the demons are on the train." And then he was like, "What?" And like that's when he started breaking down. He was like, "Give me! I don't want to be here. Get me off."
But
So
also, don't leave me here by myself. I don't want to be stuck around with you.
yeah. Oh, Zenitsu. Oh, such a big crybaby.
Such a
Yeah.
good cry.
We want to.
I didn't think he was enough in the movie, actually. Out of all, him and Nezuko were kind of dropped out after their battle with protecting like the past 3 trains. Like, oh, they got this. Let's get back to Rengoku's fight.
I mean, that's essentially how it was in the manga too, though. It wasn't much about Inosuke, or really Inosuke either. I mean, he's a solid part of it, but the Zenitsu and Nezuko parts weren't big because this arc is more about Tanjiro's growth in Rengoku, mostly about Tanjiro, obviously, and then about like some showing off what Rengoku can do, which leads us into them falling asleep. Like, and it was really cool because like once they got their tickets punched, I think like Rengoku stood up and was like, then there's a demon there. So like ran off to go attack a demon. And in my mind, I was like, wait, I thought they fell asleep after they got their tickets punched. Like, so the movie got me here because I remembered them falling asleep immediately. But right here they started fighting demons, and I was like, did I fall asleep yet? The whole time it was a dream, and I was like, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, because they were jumping around Rengoku because they're like, oh, he's so strong,
Yeah,
he's so powerful.
Yeah,
and they're like running around him in circles, throwing flowers around.
It was how they animated Zenitsu's face that reminded me that like, no, this is definitely a dream because like Tanjiro and Inosuke looked normal. I think Inosuke's forehead was a little large, but then they gave like Zenitsu like a rat face and teeth, and I was like, yeah, he's asleep. But it was really cool because it did show us, even in the beginning of this dream sequence now, some of Rengoku's abilities. Because that was like the first thing he did was show off one of his techniques to cut off the demon's head. And then they showed his speed because then they went to go to the second demon. And then he like, Inosuke tried to charge in on the second demon and missed. And it showed like Rengoku super fast going to save Inosuke, then dip down to save a person, and then attack the demon. And it was like, damn, Rengoku, okay.
So I'm just thinking this now. Did it ever say like Rengoku's strength compared to the other hero shows? Hashiro's.
So Tawan, there, if you haven't listened to the Rant Cafe podcast, I think you should, because there's a guy named Rustage on there. He's a guest host every now and again. He can't say Melaroliona from Black Clover, and it's funny. So what you're doing, not being able to say Hashiras, is for me, it's Rustage not being able to say Melaroliona. It's the funniest thing in the world.
That, like, every time I think about the word, it like changes how it's spelled in my head. I'm just like,
No, every time you try to say it too, Tuan is like, am I saying it wrong the entire time also? But no, no, I'm saying it right. You're just the one messing it up. It's like
Harashi Rams.
I want to put M in there so bad.
But no, it doesn't discuss in here their rankings, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it was somewhere that it was discussed, like their power scaling, just not here.
Well, I know that the mist and the stone were the strongest.
Yeah, they're all strong in their own way. That's what makes them all. I mean,
but there is an actual power scaling to them. Like the stone, like the stone guy with the beads and the praying hands, he's the strongest out of all of them. There is an order to them.
Yeah, it was him and then the mist guy, and then I don't know what the order went after that.
But that's just based on like combat strength too. Like their powers are. I mean,
yeah, their powers vary, and then like how they're born varies because the love girl, she's like super strong.
Yeah, that, and they all have absolutely very tragic backstories. We will find out if they come out with more movies or the season. Would it technically be season 2 or season 3 of the anime after the movie?
I think it's supposed to be season 2.
Yeah.
But I would see them going back through this whole Mugen Train arc, just because, like, if you see the movie, the people with the anime are going to have some way to keep up and So it'll probably be like ran through a lot more quickly, like they did with Dragon Ball Super, how they went through Frieza's arc again, like Resurrection F and the Battle of the Gods.
Like,
Because the Battle of the Gods was like one episode, wasn't it?
no, Battle of Gods. I mean, in the anime, I think it was like 15. Each of them were like 15 episodes.
Oh,
I mean, they went a little bit more deep into the manga part, but I mean, the whole movie, I thought they did a really good job of following the manga, like the chapter by chapter, or just like the flow. Like it was very nice, clean cut.
Oh, yeah.
The dream, like I love the dream sequence. Like I remember reading that as like I can't wait to see this animated. And then just seeing all the backstories, like Tanjiro, like just knowing he's going to be crying at one point in his dreams because he's reunited with his family.
Also, because Tanjiro's a big crybaby too. Not to the level of Zenitsu. Tanjiro is just like, he's a happy crier. Zenitsu's I'm terrified of everything crier.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, we finally do go into the dream sequence. So did we went into Rengoku's dream sequence first, right?
It's either him or Tanjiro's in the other one, and then we got the little comic relief of Zenitsu and Inosuke's dreams, and there's just too funny.
God,
it was a nice little with the relaxation, time to laugh it off after Tanjiro going back to his family and the little more tragic backstories, more tragic dreams.
Yeah, so we had we have Rengoku going back to his house, and it was like just going over again and telling his dad, like, I made it to a Hashira, and his dad pretty much being like, I don't care, which was awful. And just like getting that backstory of what happened in Rengoku's life. But obviously, since it's a dream, Rengoku thinks he's actually living this part. And so, like, you have all of that going on, and then him and his talking to his brother, and he has a younger brother, Sanju. Was that the brother's name?
Was it Sanju? Rengoku, Kyojiro.
But you had him talking to his younger brother and telling his younger brother that, like, the dad didn't. He was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Dad didn't care that I made it to Hashira. But he was like, follow your path and do what you think is best.
Sinjiro. I feel like Rengoku honestly would have been like an Itachi type if he was around for long enough. Like, he cares so much about his brother, but he's too good. Never mind. He wouldn't go. Yeah, he wouldn't join the demons to save his brother.
No.
And
then we found out about Tanjiro because we go back to his family. He gets to live that little blissful life for a little bit.
But the lower demon, it's a crazy power. I mean, that's such a weird power just to put everybody to sleep and kill people within their dreams.
Yeah, but it involves a lot of other people for it to work.
No. He could put it. It only really involves one other person for it to work, because you just got to have someone punch the tickets. That's all you have to do. Yeah. But for him to he used those kids because he wanted to defeat the demon slayers in a certain way. Because I think he was like, to defeat demon slayers, you have to destroy their core. Otherwise, they would somehow find a way to fight back or something like that.
But it's messed up that he chose kids with like terminal illnesses and probably showed them like, oh, I can make your illness go away by killing you, but you have to do this for me. Scratch my back and I scratch yours.
He wasn't gonna make their illnesses go away. He was gonna also put them in the dream, so they're not suffering anymore on the real world. They're in like a peaceful, happy dream that he would then kill them from.
Not a good way to go out.
No, not at all. But no. Especially what we find out at the end of it all with his true purposes behind those dreams. But yeah, you get Tanjiro's like return to his family and how happy he was, and he was like crying and saying that this whole time he felt like he was in a bad dream, Obviously, the bad dream being the real world with his family dying and him becoming a demon slayer and Nezuko being a demon and all of that. And you see Tanjiro just getting back to work, just
Yeah.
making coal, running errands, being with the siblings.
Yeah, being what a big brother should be, helping out his family.
The whole time, it's all fake.
He knows all gonna come crashing down. But in
Because
those cases,
eventually, I think it was his subconscious that told him like Nezuko wasn't a part of the family, and that's what made him realize like this isn't like as much I want to be happy here.
He went to the water. He went to go get water from the lake. His mom was like, "Get water for the bath," and he leaned over the water, and his reflection was the subconscious yelling at him, saying, "Wake up! This is a dream." And he pulled him into the water, and he was like, "You have to wake up. You're under attack. This is a dream." But that was a good part. That was a part also, though, is that Nezuko wasn't there for a long time of it, and it was kind of just like, this is also weird. Why isn't Nezuko there? And he like when he was walking, he did see the box that he uses for Nezuko. Then when he turned to look at it, it disappeared. And then like later on when he was asking where Nezuko was, people were like, she's out running, she's out like getting something in the mountains. And he was like, during the daylight? Why? And it was like his subconscious like,
it was like, why am I worried about her being in daylight?
Yeah. So it was like he was like starting to unravel that this wasn't the real world. And then of course that he gets pulled into the water and told to wake up. But before he wakes up, Tuan was about to get into this. We go into Zenitsu and Inosuke's dreams. So go ahead, Tuan.
And yeah, Inosuke, it's just how he views everyone. Everyone's his underling, but is like a comrade. And what they made Tanjiro either a raccoon or a tanuki, and made Zenitsu a little rat.
Yeah.
And Nezuko is like his little bunny, but it's just like his loyal follower.
It was underlings 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, minion, underling, something like that. But yeah.
And they like their whole purpose. He was like he's the leader, leading them to go defeat once again the Lord of the Land, which was just like the train.
The train with like a little huts coming out there.
Legs. Yeah.
But they're in a cave. I couldn't figure out why they were in a cave. And then you had Zenitsu, him and just Nezuko, and he's like, "Hey, come around here. Like, I'll carry you into the river."
He was so in love. He was so in love.
And then when like the intruders finally come in, he's like, it would be a guy that comes to his dream, and that makes me think of Sanji, because Sanji would react the same way if like he was having a dream about Nami or Robin, and then like a guy came in and was like, "Why are you here? You don't belong here. Only Nezuko or only Robin and Nami can be here."
Yeah, because we learned that as we were talking about like the kids, the kids with illness that we were talking about earlier, there 4 kids, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 kids that were taken essentially hostage by Enmu, the Lower Moon 1 demon. And he was like, he used them. They had to enter into the dreams of the demon slayers with the weapons that he gave them to stab their cores, which their cores are in their subconscious. So he like we get the whole explanation of like in their dream is just like it's a circular pattern essentially, and there is a finite border to it. You have to go to the border, get past the border, you enter the realm of the subconscious, and in that subconscious is the core. If they use that weapon that Inu gave them, they can stab the core to break the core. It's essentially stabbing the soul and the heart, and then that would kill the demon slayers. So like he used those 4 kids to do that. They had to have rope on them to get into the dreams.
To be connected to the person.
Yeah, to be exactly. And so like like Tawan was saying with Zenitsu's dream, you had the one guy come in there and it was just pitch blackness. And the guy was like, "Do I have to grope around to find like where to go in here?" And then you get a really frail, sickly looking, out of his mind Zenitsu. "What are you doing in here?" Like with scissors. It was hilarious. And then we go in Rengoku's subconscious scape first though, and it was just a land it was like brick and fire, like just a large fire, and when the girl was talking about how hot it was in his subconscious and like how difficult it was to get around.
Then he just in real life just holds her, gets her by the neck, just instinctively just does that with his body.
The moment she was gonna go, the moment she was like making the stab motion towards his core, his real body grabbed her by the throat, and like she couldn't move. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and then Tanjiro's was just like this, what the mirror plane of like the water looks like the sky, and the sky looks like the water, and just like
beautifully animated too. That was
It was.
yeah, it's like the kid was outlier in that whole thing, and then we don't get to see what actually happens to his until after the fight, right? When they wake the other kids up.
And because he didn't actually attack them, so
yeah, he was.
Like,
it was just. Warm. It was such a warm, peaceful landscape. He was like, "Why is it warm?" He was like, "It's just calm and warm here." And we do see later on that like Tanjiro had sprites in his subconscious that led the dude to the core. And he was like, "Why did you lead me here? You knew I was going to destroy this." Like Sue started crying and sobbing and just like couldn't do it because Tanjiro's heart and subconscious is just that pure and peaceful and warm.
Too warm. He just wants to help everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, pure Tanjiro.
Makes your heart smile, and the little things look like little Pikmin when they were dragging him.
They did. They were like little sprite pixies, and they looked so nice. And you're like, "Oh, it's like, why'd you do it? To help me? Just because I wanted it?"
Yeah. Like you wanted to do this, right? It's like yes, but not like this. But
then you get back in the railroad. You get Nezuko coming out of her box, and like seeing everyone asleep. And obviously, she cares about Tanjiro the most, so she's trying to wake Tanjiro up. She headbutts him, and we once again see how hard Tanjiro's head is because a demon headbutted Tanjiro, and the demon took damage.
I feel like headbutts in general, though, are just like a bad way to attack. You're just gonna take damage every time, like
unless you're Tanjiro. Yeah. But she starts bleeding, and she uses her demon art burning blood to attempt to wake him up. It doesn't work, but it does burn off the rope.
Mm-hmm.
I think he and when that happened, it did go into his subconscious, and his dream world, he went on fire as well when that happened. And that like also alluded to him waking up and then turning from like just the attire he had on when he was living back home with his family to like his actual demon slayer attire with his sword and everything. And that's when he was really like, I'm in a dream. I gotta wake up.
Yeah. And then he, knuckles down and he has to decide for himself, hey, I gotta kill myself to wake up. This is a dream. And then
but at the same time, like, but what if it's not a dream and I'm just
that's why it takes so much, like, I guess, physical or mental concentration to like actually cut your throat and say that it's a dream. And we find out more about that later on when it keeps happening, that he keeps getting put under. But yeah,
I mean, it was not his like
down and cut his own throat.
But and he did that because his dad kind of told him he had to. Like when he was running away and his family kept trying to stop him. Even we finally see Nezuko in his dream world. And he like really stops and hesitates that is this really a dream? And then he like is once again crying because he knows that this isn't real. And then his dad comes out of nowhere in like a spiritual way, and it's like you have to stab it. You have to stab it to get out. And that's like he said when he realizes that stabbing meant his own life, and cuts his throat. Wakes up.
First to wake up, sees Nezuko, and is like, "Oh, is everyone under?" And it realizes that the rope's connecting, and he says, "I can't cut it," so he asks Nezuko to burn them all off.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, like, I think that was really smart and observant of him to be like, "I can't cut this with my sword." Like, he could cut it, but I think he was like, he said, like, "I don't think it's smart if I cut this with my sword. Can you burn it?" And I wonder, like, what the difference would have been if he did cut it with his sword. Like, would that have damaged anybody if he did?
It would damage either the person connected into the subconscious or the person itself, and I think it was worth the risk to find out which one because I don't know, he just identified that situation so fast. He's like, okay, they're here because of some reason, but I don't know the reason, and I'm not going to try and find out or risk anything for my friends or these random kids for some.
Mm-hmm.
Because didn't he run into the person in the world too, or did he figure that he was in the subconscious? Like something happened with that.
No, he didn't run into him in his dream. The guy was there in the dream, but he was hiding behind trees and ran off. So he didn't run into the kid in his dream. But when he woke up, he did see that he was attached and that Inosuke and Zenitsu and Rengoku were all attached to different people. It was like, burn this off while I go try to find out what happened.
And he saw that Rengoku was literally holding that girl up by her neck. So I think that he knows Rengoku is a nice guy and is not going to do anything to hurt someone. So there had to have some malicious intent behind it.
I don't know if you noticed Rengoku's a nice guy at that point. They talked once for 3 seconds. But it was cool to see that. It was once again showing Rengoku's strength with that too, though, because as Enmu said, like when you're asleep, and the girl said this too, you're not supposed to be able to move at all when you're in this dream state. But Rengoku did move, got up, did all that stuff with his like will to fight and live on. It was kind of once again showing just how badass Rengoku was. Well, I guess like our first real showing of how badass Rengoku was.
Yeah. And then, Tanjiro finally starts to smell the demon on the train. And he's like, oh, it's
like one of the few times I wish, like in anime, there's like a smell-o-vision just to be like, okay, how bad does a demon smell kind of thing? Like,
yeah,
because like they always talk about like the aura of a demon and like how like the stronger the stench, the stronger the demon, essentially. But I mean, does it smell like a bad fart, or does it like just like,
or it smell like BO, or like what does a demon smell like?
Yeah, at least in terms of how does it smell to Tanjiro, I feel like it's like a really strong rotting smell. I don't know, but
it's like I kind of want to know and not know at the same time. It's like when you smell like something bad, it's like, man, dude, you gotta smell this. It smells awful. It's like, no, I don't want to smell it.
But it was cool that Tanjiro got out, smelt the demon when they go chase after him, and ran to like towards the front of the train and found the demon. And this is where the action really starts to get going, because the demon's like, oh, you're awake. And then Tanjiro starts to use one of his breath techniques to go right into an attack. And Inoue uses his talking hand demon art to put Tanjiro right back to sleep.
Yeah.
Tanjiro keeps on waking up every time.
Keeps having to know that he has to slice his own neck every time to wake up. But I mean, I guess it gets easier when you know you're going to be back on the mountain, but it is hard that he kept trying to like guilt him every time he went back in there. So every time it was a different member of his family being alive and just being like, why did you survive while we died? Why did you survive while we died? So he definitely was playing a psychological game on him.
Yeah, it was different because that was also like Enmu was getting surprised that Tanjiro kept waking up, and then he kept realizing it's because he's constantly slitting his own throat, and like he knows how to wake up now. So he was like catching him off guard with that. So yeah, that's when he went from like the nice dreams to being like the really bad ones, and that pissed Tanjiro off. Like my family would never because like Tawan said, it was his siblings all being like, why did you leave us? What were you even doing? And his mom being like, you should have been the one that died. And then dad like throwing a drink at him and like cussing him out. And it was kind of like Tanjiro was really mad and was like, my family would never say that. And like just, I think that's when he go cut his head off.
It was also really interesting that he thought that the sleep wasn't working on Tanjiro, because every time he put him to sleep, like he'd miss a step and then like look like he was about to fall off the train and then wake back up and catch himself. So I wonder if like in battle he would be like, why isn't this working? Because clearly it would look like he would pass out every time to me.
But I think it's more so because his demon art is supposed to put them in a deep sleep and not supposed to move at all. But Tanjiro was like, he essentially just stumbled. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's not working because he's just stumbling. He's not like falling down, collapsing, going to sleep. But it's in a quick fight, because with Enmu, no one's supposed to be moving at all when they're fighting him. He uses his hand, they fall asleep, and Enmu's just like, cool, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep sitting on top of this train and just hanging out.
Yep, and then Tanjiro finally was like, okay, like after the nightmare one, it's like they'll never say that, and just slices the head off Enmu. It's like, oh, that was a lot easier than it's like, were they the same level as a spider?
It's Rui.
Yeah.
Lower Moon 5.
But then you see him like, reveal his plan like every good villain should, and tell him that, hey, I'm actually the plane.
Train?
Plane. I am the plane.
He's like, in the time you were asleep, I finally succeeded in, meshing with this train entirely. Like this whole train is now my body. So like this body that you just cut up
Just
wasn't a real body.
stupid OP power too. He's like, oh yeah, I can transfer my soul wherever I want it to be.
Yep, just
But
fused entirely into a freaking train.
He's like, where do you cut the neck off on a train? That's
But that's when our boy Inosuke shows up.
Yeah, he finally wakes up because he finally finds a girl in there, and like, because he was like a huge head and was like chasing her around. It's like, you don't belong here. You don't belong here. and, and that's how he wakes up. It's just like he scares her so much that he just runs her off. And then jumps up, it's like, I don't belong here. And then like jumps up, runs on top of the train, goes over to help Tanjiro. And then Tanjiro's like, hey, the demon is the whole train.
we got bad news, buddy.
Oh man, because then, yeah, you get everyone starting to wake up, and yeah, because Tanjiro goes back inside to fight, and Inosuke goes back in to fight.
Because they go protect the passengers because they're all still in their dream state.
Good old dream state.
And then it was just crazy with like they're all having trouble like holding off one cart itself, and then Rengoku wakes up and just takes out 5 carts all by himself. He's like, cool, I'll make sure all these passengers are safe. You guys go find the neck and cut the neck off. I'm leaving this to you.
Oh, yeah, because that's right, because that's how Inosuke got up there. It was Tanjiro was doing his thing, and Rengoku went to go and like really quick to Tanjiro and was like, I'm going to take the 5 in the back. We saw Zenitsu and Nezuko fighting in that one train because
Zenitsu is still under sleep too. That's what. So he just wants to pregnant Nezuko.
Nezuko was doing so good fighting it off, and then she got captured, and then like out of nowhere comes right before she was about to get like chopped up, I guess. Zenitsu in hhis sleep form comes out and uses his thunderclap to save her, and he's like, "I'll protect you, Nezuko." And like, and like the really cool subconscious Zenitsu way, and then all of a sudden is like the derp Zenitsu, yeah, the simp.
He's like, I'll sleep again. Also, I saved Nezuko, so it was all good.
Yeah, but then Rengoku gets really quick to Inosuke. He's like, you go up to the front and help Tanjiro. I'm gonna do this back here. Nezuko and then we'll protect these other trains. You guys go defeat the demon, essentially. And so we get the really cool battle sequence of like Inosuke and Tanjiro locating the head, which I think Inosuke did it with one of his beast breathing forms. Located the demon. And then you get like this just the really cool sequence with them two just fighting together and
it's like
taking out the train in the ways that they did.
Yeah, because go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just love Inosuke's swords. Like when he got his swords repaired, he still bit them off for the ragged edges, and every time like he showed his swords, it's always just edge, and they're like serrated.
Like cuts or edging or however he serrates them, because he does it with a rock, and it was like even shown in the animation that all of these circles or holes are not the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, he uses his beast breathing, say it was up front, and then Tanjiro was like, yeah, I gotta trust Inosuke. His senses are better than anyone, so.
But like Enmu is still like putting Tanjiro under like sleep paralysis and all this, but he can't fight Inosuke because he can't actually look him in the eyes and put him to sleep because of the hind head.
Yeah, and also he said also that Inosuke was so perceptive that anytime like he was anticipating where he was going to look at him. So like every time Inosuke knew exactly where Emi was going to be looking to try to put him to sleep, and Inosuke would just look the other way, and even inside the board's head. Like that was really cool. And another reason Inosuke is the best. Let's get it.
Yeah.
And then they finally figure out where the neck actually is after fighting all those eyes and cutting all that. And then Inu, he starts growing all those limbs. So that's the new problem that they have to face. But somehow Rengoku and Nezuko and Zenitsu are still able to keep everyone safe. So that's still top priority.
Yeah, and it was really cool that just like once they kept everyone safe back there, you get Tanjiro and Inosuke using his like the move was literally called slice and dice. That was what the move was called. And it revealed the neck, the actual neck bones of the demon in the train, which is in the front of the train with the conductor. And even the conductor was mad because I guess Inmu told him that he would also put him in a dream. So like Tanjiro and Inosuke were trying to save him. And the neck was revealed. But right before they were going to cut the neck, Inmu used another one of those, bring 1,000 hands up into the air and like cover up the neck, to protect himself essentially. And yeah, you just get the continuation of them having to. I think it was probably like 10 minutes of them just cutting off limb after limb after limb of Inmu doing this stuff, and the eyes of forced unconscious sleep that he just kept putting Tanjiro to sleep. And
because then he do him the fake one, and that's when Tanjiro is like, I need to kill myself right now. And that's when Inosuke is like, dude, you got to realize the difference between dream state and reality.
Yeah, he was like, this one's real. We're here. This is real life.
Which honestly, it's surprising that he didn't try and do that earlier. Is like sneak one of like Tanjiro still being on the train in a dream.
Like, I think Enmu just got too much involved in himself. He's like, oh, I'm too powerful. Like I'm drinking all this blood. Like this should be working. Not thinking of other strategies like that until it was a little bit too late.
Oh man, but yeah, then you get Inosuke saving him with that one because again, we learned that Inosuke was dodging and where the eyes were looking. But unfortunately, right after that happens, the conductor is about to stab Inosuke, and he's like, "Don't get in the way of me having a dream and being with my dead wife and kids." And Tanjiro jumps in, and Tanjiro gets stabbed instead. Which to me, I was kind of like, if you saw this attack coming, and you saw him about to attack Inosuke, and you were able to jump in completely in front of Inosuke, then you could have also just blocked this stab from this regular human when you are this like superhuman. Just once again, one of those things that just it makes me so upset sometimes. And just like when we were talking about in our Marine Forward War review with how Jinbei could have jumped in front.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything else because if those people who maybe not listen to that one because they haven't read that part of One Piece or watched that part of One Piece, that's all I'm going to say. Jinbei could have jumped in front. Anyway, so yeah, you get Tanjiro getting stabbed, and as we learn later on, that's going to play a really big part because it was a pretty significant stab wound. But once again, Inosuke uses, slice and dice to reveal the neck again, and Tanjiro finally is able to use instead of using water technique, he uses the sun breathing technique to cut the head off of Inmu in the train.
For the sun breathing, he did partial of the dance that his dad taught him, right?
Yeah, so that's what it is.
So that's how he came up with it, but it was just instinct at that point. He didn't really think about like, oh, I need to do this dance. He just did the dance, and it just happened to.
Yeah, so that because that's what happened when he was fighting Rui in the mountain was that he was using his water breathing and it wasn't doing anything. It was cutting the threads, but then he couldn't cut the red threads that Rui was using. So then he was like, I think it was like a flash through of life or something when he saw that he couldn't cut the red threads and he was about to die, and then he had like this life flash before his eyes essentially, and then he remembered the techniques his dad did, and he tried that, and that turned out to be fire breathing or sun breathing, and we'll learn later that it's actually called a sun breathing technique, and use that, and that's what cut the red wires. And so now we know that he knows that technique, which is as Tanjiro still thinks of it, it's just a dance that his dad did and his family did throughout generations. But as we'll learn later, it's a whole other thing. But that is it incorporates a new technique that Tanjiro can use. But as he says, using that technique hurts him, like it hurts his body and takes up a lot of like energy for him to do the sun breathing technique. But yeah, he uses that, cuts off the neck, and we finally see Enmu like start to die. Train like big loud scream, train crashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Train crashes. They all get knocked off. Tanjiro just gets thrown. Inosuke just got lucky because he just bounces on the demon's body. He's like, Tanjiro, why are you hurt? I just bounced on the demon's body.
Yep.
Like,
and Tanjiro, being a softie, was like, go save the conductor. Is the conductor okay? And Inosuke's like, he's trapped under the train. And Tanjiro's like,
he tried to kill you.
Tanjiro's like, no.
He tried to kill you. Why are we gonna rescue him?
If he dies and he dies a murderer, and I can't die because he'll be a murderer, and his sins have already been atoned for because he got crushed in the train, like save his life. To the rest of us, we're probably over here like, no, he's good. Bye bye, Mr. Conductor.
And Inosuke was like, yeah, it's fine if he dies. He deserved it. That's his punishment. But he's like, fine, just because you said that and you're being so nice and you're hurt, I guess I'll do this thing for you because I wanted to and not because you told me to.
Yeah.
Good guy, Tanjiro.
Because it was a request of one of his subordinates. Because he was still like, I'm the leader. I'm gonna save him because it was a deep request by one of my subordinates, and I'm gonna do it because my subordinate asked me to.
Is that of my choosing? I wasn't told to do this. I'm choosing to do this.
Yeah.
And then you see Minu, in his little blob state, saying like, "How could this happen to me? This never should have happened to me. This, everything always goes my way."
Untitled Simple Plan. How could this happen to me?
It was like I was going to eat 200 people, and then this boy stopped it. I didn't even get one. So,
yeah. And it was funny because he kept going through like it's all his fault, and he was like it's all his fault, thinking like it's all Rengoku's fault, and he was like, wait, no, it's all those two's fault because I couldn't eat any of the 200 people because Rengoku stopped me, and because Zenitsu, the Thunder Boy, and the Demon Girl stopped me. And he was like, no, it's all his fault, like Inosuke because he found where I was. No, it's all the other guy's fault because he woke up in the first place, being Tanjiro. And it was just like he didn't know who to blame, but in the end, he was like it's Tanjiro's fault. And,
it was looking like
blame it myself.
Yeah. It was looking like he was going to be able to attack one more time, but he just ends up disappearing.
Yeah, right as his arm was about to kill Tanjiro, because at this point Tanjiro can't move. His stab wound, as well as like the fire breathing the sun breathing technique, and everything else, like Tanjiro can't move right now. He's just stuck. And so the demon was like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna kill you too. And right before it gets to killing Tanjiro, his whole body just disintegrates.
Was Tanjiro crying for the demon again too? I can't remember if he was.
No, he's at this point kind of like
trying to hold on to his own life.
Yeah, he's not asleep, but he's like just laying there breathing, using his like sun breathing. Or not sun breathing, his control, his mastered
total concentration.
Yeah. But then that's when Rengoku is like, oh, you can do this better. Yeah. More focus on that wound and stop the wound from bleeding itself instead of working around or just trying to breathe, stay alive.
Yeah, he's like, focus, stop the wound, staunch the bleeding.
Oh, we also forgot why it was so important for everything that happens going forward with Rengoku, because at the I think it was right at the beginning of it, he kept telling Tanjiro to become train under me, let me train you. Like he said that to him, like in the very beginning when they were talking, and it became like, we're gonna train under you, we're gonna train under you. So that also kind of began their bond.
Yeah, and then every time they would see him be like super impressive, it just like solidified it. It was like, yes, this guy's gonna teach me. Mm-hmm. This guy's super powerful. Like, how is he moving this fast? How is he able to like take down these two demons in this instance and save all these people at the same time? So,
man, Rengoku was so cool.
Yeah, he is. And he was like, you're going to learn so much under me. Just watch. And then, the number 3 or the upper 3, he comes in.
Yeah,
Just out of nowhere.
Akaza comes in
Akuza.
like literally right as Rengoku taught Tanjiro to use his breathing to stop his bleeding and like heal himself. Like the moment that he got that mastered, it was like the pressure. I think that's one of my favorite things in anime. It's one of the favorites is when you know a really strong villain has shown up because the characters will just stop, will look up, and you can kind of see like the essential gravity effect come into play, and you just know someone really badass just showed up,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
entirely what happens.
Now that I think about it, that is like a very common ability, like Dragon Ball Z. I know with Bleach that was a big thing. Naruto, probably not as much of Naruto, but like you can definitely sense when like stronger people are around.
Yep. Yeah. The animation does a quick change, and then like it's just like the good guys look surprised. I mean, sometimes it's been villains doing it too. They'll look surprised and then they'll turn around and then like bam, this villain we haven't seen before, who you just automatically know is here to just wreak havoc and that's what begins. Like
He
with
starts,
no hesitation, Akaza shows up and goes right after Tanjiro, right after him.
he's like, this guy's got to die. He's been a problem for my master for a while, so he's got to die.
Because they saw the earrings, right?
No, I think he just knew there were demon slayers there. One of them was weak, so let's go ahead and kill him. Because he didn't like he there was no thought process. He landed, and then the moment he landed, looked up, saw them two, and went to go kill Tanjiro. Because it was like, this one's weak, he's down. Let me kill him. Go ahead and finish him off. No, he did say he said that he wanted to get him out of the way so that he could have a conversation with Rengoku. So it had nothing to do with him knowing who Tanjiro was. Because I don't think Muzan told Akaza that. It was literally he wanted to go ahead and kill Tanjiro, get him out of the way, so that he could have a conversation with Rengoku. And then Rengoku was like, "Why would I want to talk to you? What would you and I have to discuss?"
Yeah, and then
It's like,
you know,
I saw what you did there. I think you'd be a pretty cool demon.
he's like, I see how strong you are. You're pretty much the peak of like human possibilities. So you're still stifled, but if you become a demon, you can essentially fight me forever and get stronger with me. I don't know anything about you, but we can get stronger together, and you have that potential. You're one of the chosen ones, so you should come be with us. And if you're not going to do that, then I'm going to kill you. But also, definitely still come with us. I'm going to try to convince you as long as I can, but at the same time, try and kill you.
Oh man, yeah, it was wild because like we
That was an
see,
awesome fight, and that was
yeah, we see Rengoku start to pull out. Like we really get to see him pull out all of his moves here at this last fight. But you also see that an upper moon regenerates and heals really fast because like he sliced his arm in half and immediately Akaza healed it, and even Rengoku was like, "Oh, this is an upper moon. Like his regenerative abilities are out of this world." And yeah, like he got his hand, they start going into the whole like, "You should become a demon. You're strong. We can train together." And as we'll learn more and more about Akaza, it's just like that's just what Akaza loves. It's just to fight and train in battle. So he's like, "Yeah, come become a demon with me." And Akaza's like,
stronger.
"Nope, no thanks,
Yeah,
I'm good."
Only the strong should be demons, and you are strong, so come be a demon.
Yeah, and he was just like, you're fighting. You haven't even reached your prime yet, and if you become a demon, you can train for 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. You can get incredibly powerful, more powerful than you could as a human. Being a human limits what you can do. Like, become a demon with me. Let's train together. And Goku's like, you can yourself.
Nah, dude, I'm all right. I like being human.
But great.
But,
go ahead.
I was gonna say Rengoku. I mean, he just kept on trying to slice him and everything, but like Hakusa just keeps on healing himself, and once in a while just tricks him. And what was it when he's? I don't want to skip too much. Man, I don't want to gloss everything that we're missing on the fight, but when he actually got Rengoku in the chest, that was.
Matt's like, I don't want to skip everything. Skips
But
everything.
yeah, it skips everything. That's what I'm like. I forget. Like I'm trying to remember the fight, but I just remember that was the next big step at least. Like when he gets.
I mean, you get to see Akaza's fighting ability. It's not even his blood art. You get to see his like technique.
Yeah, it's just like this destruction technique.
Yeah.
So he's like air, and that's how he uses ranged attack. So he just punches so hard that he sends like a air force or air push at him, and then
Like
he would
Mike
use
Guy.
this. Yes.
Oh,
And then he'd use like his fourth, I think it was the fourth form of breathing, and he would use it as like a big shield. And then we see him slice Akaza a lot because he'll cut his arm in half. It'll come back together, cut his arms off. It'll come back, slice his chest. They'll come back. Like it's instantly healing.
I just remember when this was going on, and at the same time, Tawan, you were just like, it's like Dragon Ball Z because.
Oh yeah, because at first they did start moving so fast that you couldn't
Yeah.
see them. You could only see like when their swords
Yep.
would touch or when
You
their
just saw
blades.
the flashes of them clashing, and Tanjiro being like, I can't follow them. It's like this is like Dragon Ball Z. Because I mean, that's essentially what happens in Dragon Ball Z. It's just a bunch of pow pow in the distance. You don't see any action. You just see the effects of them hitting each other.
And Rengoku does tell Tanjiro and Inosuke, like, hey, don't jump in unless you see an opening, then jump in. And they're both standing there, and Inosuke's just telling himself, he's like, I can't jump in because I'm just gonna be in the way. I can see that. He's like, I recognize that shortcoming in me. How's this guy so powerful? Because I can't even do anything.
Man, yeah, Rengoku was just so cool. Like with the air attacks you were talking about that Akaza was using, Rengoku was like, he's really strong at mid range attacks. I can't do anything from here, so I just get in close and like instantly got like right in Akaza's face. And even Akaza was like, that's some crazy speed. And then like they were just going at it close range. Just I was sitting there like it's a fight going ping 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 because they were literally just slashing and fists were being thrown and cutting, and it was just so much cool animation and so much fighting. And like you were saying, arm gets cut off, arm heals, chest gets sliced, chest heals. And I mean, just it was so cool to see
Yeah,
this fight.
honestly, I feel like Rengoku had the upper hand. It was just that the other one, he just his regeneration ability. Because if he can regenerate, he would have been dead like 10 times over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
because we don't find that out, but like he's like literally like the third oldest or the fourth oldest demon, and that's why he's upper three too, because he's longer. We don't find this until after the movie, but like he's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
So
they've all been around. As it was stated, because when Enmu was dying, he had a flashback of what Muzan had told them, and it was the same thing of like the upper moon rankings haven't changed in centuries. And essentially no demon, new or existing, has been strong enough and gotten strong enough to challenge one of the upper moons and become an upper moon. And so, yeah, that Akaza's been an upper moon 3 for forever. Granted, I think he wants to become like upper moon 2 and upper moon 1, but those guys are
those are kind of solidified. when you meet them, they're up there for a reason.
I'm on a new level.
Yeah, but at the end of all that like crazy clashing, once it all stops, you see Akaza standing there and it's like, "Don't die on me yet," because he was calling him by his last name. Was it Kyojuro? He was like calling him by his last name consistently. Like he was like really respecting him in this fight.
That was his first name.
Uh,
Kyojuro. Yeah, Kyojuro is his first
so
name.
is Rengoku there the family name?
Yeah,
Yes.
Rengoku's.
Okay, so then yeah, he's calling by his first name, and it was just like really cool for him to do that. But then we see that him saying that, we look up and Rengoku was just badly beaten, like left eyes, closed and blood all over the place, and that's
Rengoku
why.
never really blinked, did he, during the movie?
With how wide those eyes are, I don't think he can blink.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to miss a thing. But yeah, like you guys were saying, because he told Tanjiro not to move, because if Tanjiro moved, it was going to reopen his wound and Tanjiro was going to die. And Inosuke was kind of like, I want to jump in, but they're so powerful, so quick, so there are no openings. I can't get in here anywhere. And it was just like wild to see Tanjiro and Inosuke panicking. And like, bless you, Matt. And you saw like Tanjiro wanting to help out, but he knew we couldn't. And then Inosuke just like, I don't want to say being terrified, but just knowing how crazy strong they are, that like there was no space for him in this fight. And unfortunately, like Matt was saying, like Rengoku, Akaza tells Rengoku, if you're a demon, all of these like wounds you have, your broken ribs, your ruptured organs, your fractured left eye, all of that, if you were a demon, could be healed in an instant. It would be nothing but a scratch. You'd be just fine. But as a human, you can't heal. And Rengoku's once again like, I don't want to become a demon.
Yeah, and then he goes through all the, pleasures of being a human. It's like that's what you live for. If you're strong, you protect people. If you're weak, but the chance that you will die just makes life more precious. If you're gonna live forever, what's the point? And then he flashes. Oh yeah, we flash back to Rengoku's mom, and she essentially is the one that told him like, "Hey, you were born strong, so you have a duty to society that you need to protect those weaker than you." And she's just like, I'm proud because I am your mother, because I bore you, because I get to, produce someone like that. And that's pretty much how he's lived his life this whole time, is just following his mom's creed.
It was so sad.
I know. And then I was like, the feels. And that's why I like this movie so much, because I had such a deeper connection with Rengoku as compared to the anime or not the anime, but the manga, where we see him at the beginning and he falls asleep, he deals with the back of the train, and then he fights this guy. So,
but you get once that conversation is done, you essentially get Rengoku gearing up for his. I don't want to say it becomes his final attack, but it was like he brought out all of his willpower and fighting power to make this next move the last move. Like, it was his goal to use this next attack to take out Akaza. And Akaza was like, oh my god, this presence, like, yeah, I love it. Like, let's do this. And Akaza also uses like one of his ultimate techniques.
Like annihilation, destruction, annihilation. I think that's what the move was called.
Yeah, because Rengoku used ninth form Rengoku, which was amazing. That like he has a technique named after his family. And Akaza uses destructive death annihilation type. And you see like, and when it's in the movie, you see with that attack, Rengoku's like cutting off the left arm and then the right arm and then slashing through the chest and like of Akaza, like cutting him up. But you also see as the arms are falling off once again, Akaza's just regenerating them like it's nothing. The smoke clears. We look up, and Akaza's blade is in Rengoku, but Rengoku's blade is in Akaza, but Akaza's fist is straight through Rengoku's chest.
Yeah. But Rengoku still isn't down yet. He's kind of like Whitebeard in that instance, where he's like got something through his chest, but his breathing concentration is so strong that he catches his arm and won't let go. So he uses it as a vice grip, as a way.
The sun is slowly sneaking upon the mountaintop, and Akaza is finally freaking out. Like, I gotta get out.
Because Rengoku also goes to cut off his head. Like, even with the fist through the chest, Rengoku goes to use his sword to cut off Akaza's head, and it goes like about an inch in, and then Akaza like tries to stop it, and Rengoku keeps kind of going in very little at a time. And then that's when Akaza sees the sun and is like, the sun's coming up, I gotta go. But he can't get out because, like Tawan said, the concentration breathing Rengoku was using trapped Akaza's arm inside of his chest, and Akaza had the other arm trapped. Yeah.
Yeah, so just in his hand.
Yeah, he couldn't get away. He was literally trapped there, and it was like, you're gonna die right here with me, essentially. Like, we're gonna both be taken out together. But right before that happens, freaking Akaza somehow just rips his arms off, runs away.
Into the woods. And then Tanjiro runs after him. He's like, why are you running? You're a coward. He's like, Rengoku won this battle. You lost it. Not one of these people died. You guys lost. Only Rengoku's going to die. So you lost. You're weak. You're a coward. You're a coward. You're weak. Why'd you run off? Come on, fight. We fight you in the dark. Come fight us in the sun.
Yeah, it was wild. Poor Tanjiro.
He's like, why are you telling me this? No, I'm just running because the sun's coming up. I'm not going to die here. It's like
I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you, kid. I can't live in the sun.
He's like, I would fight you anytime, but not when it's sunny out. The Tanjiro also had a nice like sword toss into his. Did he get
Oh
him
yeah,
into?
because he used the flame breathing
Yeah,
too when he did
right
that.
through the chest.
Yeah, right in the chest. I was like, ooh, that was a nice little pierce. It was kind of pointless
Yeah,
because
break.
the guy was still running away anyway. But what?
Yeah, that it was it. It's just funny because of what it leads to later in the manga and the anime. But it's just like it because when Tanjiro broke his sword, the guys like the village of the sword makers, the guy who makes Tanjiro's sword like goes to attack him and it's like, I'm gonna kill you for breaking my sword. Like the sword didn't break because it was a bad sword. The sword broke because you're weak. And like now Tanjiro has lost another sword literally right after he got it.
Right?
And so it just leads to like more fun that's about to happen in the manga. So those of you who haven't read the manga, go ahead and read that because it gets like though we're talking about something like really serious that happens and like really unfortunate because Rengoku we get a very small amount of Rengoku. We only get this movie to have him, but like he's a really cool character, really cool abilities. And it's really sad that we don't get to see more of him, but we do get like the fun part of because of what Tanjiro did here, like the funniness comes back into Demon Slayer with the guy who makes his sword like once again ready to kill Tanjiro.
But I don't know. Rengoku kind of takes on like an Ace kind of flavor to the series. Like he's Tanjiro's inspiration going forward. And we find out a little bit more about him, his backstory, his parents, his life at home. So I definitely enjoyed this movie a lot more just because I felt like I got to learn more about Rengoku's personality than I did from the manga because I had for the longest time been like, why has Tanjiro put so much influence on Rengoku in his life? So
Yeah, yeah. It definitely didn't make sense in the manga. You're just like, why are you talking about him so much, dude? You spent like 30
So,
minutes with him.
yeah, not even a whole day. You spent an evening with this guy.
You spent a nighttime train ride. That was it. That's all you had. But it is like touching because at the end, like as Rengoku's dying, he's like calls Tanjiro over, and Tanjiro's bawling his eyes out, and Inosuke's trying not to cry, and he starts to.
Right.
No, but not yet because Zenitsu's still like sleep over by the train because everything that happened. Like right here is just like Rengoku talking to Tanjiro, but Inosuke's right there, so he hears it too, and he's just kind of telling him like, tell my brother, to live his best life essentially, and like follow the path he thinks is best, and being like Tanjiro, you're also injured, you need to also relax and talk with me until the end, and just like a really sweet moment between the two of them. My fiance Kara was over there crying her eyes out.
Yeah, he acknowledged that Nezuko was a part of the Demon Slayer Corps. He's like, she's not a demon, she's one of us, because anyone that's going to give her life or, put her life on the line to protect other humans is definitely a part of the Demon Slayer Corps. So don't ever stop. You guys are one of us, You're doing everything right with your life. So just keep living as long as you can.
Living and remember the lessons even though they're very few, but remember the lessons I taught you.
And told him to also go visit his village because his dad may know more about the questions Tanjiro has. And then the part of Akaza that was still in Rengoku that essentially was like stopping a large part of the bleeding because an object that's in your body, as long as it's still there, it doesn't really make you bleed as much. But once it like disappears because of the sun, Rengoku, you see all the blood really just pool out of him, and then Rengoku dies.
Mm-hmm.
And
then
Tear Fest 2021, baby.
Boy, they were fucking bawling their eyes out, man.
Yeah, and then Inosuke, he was like, "Oh, Tanjiro." He's like, "Come on, we gotta go train. We gotta go do this. We gotta do something to distract us. We can't just stay here. We can't stay weak. We can't do this." And he's like, "I'm not crying. We can't stop. We gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. Come on."
Because like Zenitsu came over and was like, "What happened?" And like, it couldn't believe that Rengoku died. He was like, "What do you mean an upper moon came here? What do you mean like Rengoku's dead? And, like this guy was crazy powerful. What do you mean these things happen? Like he used a bunch of crazy techniques when the train crashed and saved everyone. Like minimized the damage. No one died. It's impossible that this guy's dead." And Tanjiro and Inosuke are like, "No, he's dead," bawling their eyes out, and it was just so sad. Also, because when Rengoku died, like after his last words to Tanjiro, he looked up and he saw his mother in the distance, and it was just like, oh,
Yeah, it was all the feels.
all the
Definitely,
feels.
it was definitely all the feels. I'm just like, why you gotta take him? The good die young.
Quite literally in this anime.
I mean, yeah, a lot of animes too.
Yeah, it's just like so sad that all that happened, and I did enjoy Inosuke kind of being like, stop crying, you guys shouldn't be crying, while Inosuke's falling.
Yeah,
and like I said, being like, Tanjiro, we got to go train. He was like, get up, we're training right now. Like it was just so sad. And then the birds go take the announcements to all the other Hashiras and everything. You get to see every Hashira.
Even the crows are crying, man.
Yeah,
That's like sad when the animals cry for you.
but the leader was like, I'm not sad because I'll be joining them shortly. He gave his life and he protected all these people. That was a win for us. It wasn't a loss. So I know he gave his life, but all in all, it was still a win.
It was, for me, it was very interesting that like, I think it also tells how strong Rengoku probably was, because I really wish I could remember his name, but the Hashira that has like the stone crest on his head and things like that, the one that we're gonna go to next, honestly, like the next part's gonna really be focusing on him.
Even he was to the red light district.
Yeah, even he was like
the sound guy.
He was like, even Rengoku lost to an upper moon. Like, that also lets us know that he and the other ones must have known that Rengoku was really strong. Because he's like, even Rengoku lost to this guy? Like, that's wild. Like, Rengoku lost to an upper moon? So, yeah.
I was going to get his name for you. Gyome Himejima. Gyome Himejima.
Yeah, Himejima. I actually named one of my...
Tenjin Uzi.
Yeah, I think they call him Tenjin. Yeah, they call him Tenjin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he rescued wives, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, he says that. Even the Serpent guy's even like, I can't believe it. And so it was like just a bunch of people. Like, you see everyone's reactions to the news, and everyone kind of seems upset about it, and in their own way, shape, or form. The Mist guy doesn't have too much of a reaction, but we'll learn more about him later and why he didn't really have a reaction. He's just kind of not there completely in the headspace anyway.
He's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, it was
all the Hashira are. Twan's got the influence on me, but I mean, if you read all their backstory, like, you don't think any backstory would be more true.
Matt, you're cutting in and out.
Oh no!
All right, just reset. Oh. Just say again what you just said.
Oh, all the Hashiras, like, backstories they get more tragic as more you learn about them.
Yeah, they're all.
You don't think it can get more tragic? It just does. It's One Piece backstories all over again. I was like, oh, it can't be any worse than what they just went through. No, it's much more sadder.
Yeah, it's definitely worse. But it makes sense that all of them have some, like, deep connection to, like, hating demons. So it makes sense. Because I don't think anyone other than, unless it's like your clan, is going to go out and just, like, keep fighting demons. Or, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to be a demon slayer. Because Tanjiro was like, I shouldn't have picked up a sword. The only reason he picked up a sword is because his whole family died.
True.
Yep. But that was the end. That was the movie. It was fantastic. Great songs, great animation, and it really just leads us all to being ready for season 2 to come out, like, as soon as possible.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys are going to go watch the movie by the time this podcast comes out, but if you can watch it online, definitely recommend it.
Oh yeah, we'll probably be buying it because, once again, Kara's favorite anime is Demon Slayer. Love the movie, so I'm sure she'll want to have the movie so she can watch it as much as possible.
Yeah, it was great. I'd definitely watch again. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 would watch again. Yep.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, ready for the next. But yeah, that's closing remarks on that. Like Tawan said, go out and watch it. Anything else?
No. As
All right.
always, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Follow us on Spotify and Apple or wherever Anchor is sponsored or Anchor is available. Spotify, Apple Music, podcast store.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you got the Google Podcast as well, a wide
Mhm.
variety. Share us with your friends and colleagues. Follow us on Instagram, Monster Trio Podcast, YouTube, Monster Trio, and Twitter at Mon Trio Podcast. Tawan's going to get that up and going. And then, we really look forward to feedback. We want to continue giving you guys what you want to hear and staying intriguing and interesting. So hit us up, follow us on all the social medias, share us with everyone in the world. And last words, guys.
Nope. Just keep giving us good feedback. We love it. Good, bad, how we can improve. We're here for you guys.
Yeah.
Plus Ultra.
On that note, have a great day. Peace.
Peace.